Welcome.
So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other. And I'm so grateful this morning to have my good friend Kim Rackham to be presenting uh, a new year and a new you. So it's like new year and new you. How perfect is that? So we're ready to hear what you have to say, Kim. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and then just go ahead with the presentation. Thank you and
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you, Rennie. Oh my gosh, I love this group. And I've been in this group for quite some time. And although lately I've had projects that I'm working on that kind of vies for my time during this time frame. I do these power hours every morning. So I'm like, you know what, I need to get back in with this crew of ladies because it's so inspirational, as each and every one of you know. And I'm just so thrilled to be part of this coffee club, or for me, it's a tea club. But whatever your heart desires, right? There's so much blessing in this group, that we can help one another to uplift each other in whatever we do. And so I thought that the topic today would be about a new year and a new you. And I know that can seem so cliche, right? But in all honesty, I'm actually I have this program that we're doing starting next Monday called the January Jumpstart. And it is really about kind of taking back some of the habits that we get out of during the holidays, if that makes sense. And it seems like from October through the end of the year, that is like the time that most of us kind of sway away from our regular routine. We get into the habit of festivity, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means, right? I think we kind of let our hair down, so to speak. And then sometimes we lose some of those habits, right? Maybe it's a habit that, hi Judy, hi Omeka. Um, so maybe it's those habits that we just gently sway from. And so I love, this is something that I do every month. So it's 12 months out of the year. And I thought, let me share it with you, beautiful souls, and
Let me
see if
let
this,
you share, Kim. Let me
oh,
allow you to share.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Rennie.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to share a brief presentation with you. Now, this is not my whole presentation, but that's okay. I had family visiting, as I was telling Rennie earlier. And so I have what we call a January Jump Start program that I would like to just share a little bit with you. Now on Saturday, I have a little more details to it. And it's part of a health and wellness franchise that I'm part of. And I'll give you a little detail about myself for those of you that do not know me. My name is Kim Rackham. I am married. I have my very best friend. I have two children, two grandchildren, four grand fur babies, and I live in Northern California. Rennie was asking me earlier, it's like the center point between San Francisco, California, and Lake Tahoe, California. So I'm kind of in the foothills, the beginning of the snow zone, so to speak. So it's pretty cold here today, and I'm not sure where you're from exactly. I know some of you and where you're from, but always excited to hear our geographics because we're so global. And so I am a nutrition and health coach certified in two different areas, and I specialize in mind and gut health. So, that's always a double-edged sword. So my specialty is in gut health and then in mindset coaching as well, along with nutrition. So my background in nutrition is 30 years. That was because of my own demise with my own health as a prior competitive bodybuilder. I truly burned my body out from eating the wrong food. So just because you may look good on the outside doesn't mean that you're healed on the inside, right? And it starts, I always say the mind and the mind and the body itself is like a double-edged sword. If you're not healthy, your health is your greatest wealth, right? And if you're not healthy in the gut, if you're not healthy in your body, then you're not healthy in your mindset, right? They, it's kind of like they go hand in hand together. And I say that because 90% of the serotonin in your gut is in your gut. I'm sorry, only 10% is produced in the brain. So definitely take some notes here, because think about everything at the end of your fork either prevents disease or encourages disease, right? And so I wanted to take us to a little bit higher level in the new year to hopefully give you some nuggets of information for the new year, new you. And at this time of the year, does anyone put in the chat if anyone knows what the number one resolution is by far, hands down? Or it is absolutely, I'd love to see your feedback in the chat. Rennie, can you let me know what they're putting in the chat? Because I'm always interested in the feedback.
Losing weight.
Yep, that's it. Number one. Did you know that 78% of people, that's their New Year's resolution? And I work in that industry, right? Now, what I do as a health coach, I call myself the whole food diva. So I'm a whole food hottie. I specialize in eating whole foods as opposed to fad diets and yo-yo dieting and the trends that are out in the world today that are not sustainable. I'm into sustainable health, right? And so 78% of people, that is their resolution. And here, the thing is that I'm here to kind of give you some guidelines about taking your health beyond your own expectations, like really leveling up. And there's a lot of simple things that you can do. I always say go back to the basics. So let's check out, let me see here. Go to this, my computer is there we go. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the two startling trends in the world. And as I'm talking about these, I know that you are going to totally understand where I'm coming from because it has probably affected you, if not yourself, maybe a family member, someone that you dearly love. And this is something that you can take away. Maybe you're on your journey, you're really dialed into this already, and that's great. And I would love to chat with you about that because I always learn. I'm always a student and learning. But those two trends, first and foremost, is that we have food quality that's decreasing, right? Does that make sense? So when I look at what really resonates with me, and these pictures, a picture tells 1,000 stories, right? In my opinion. So if you look at our food crops and what's being injected, like the GMO, Roundup, these different herbicides and pesticides. And, a lot of that has to do with the growing population of our nations, right? Did you know that our third world countries actually have less pollutants in their foods, right? So we, as of this standard American diet, I call it the SAD diet because it really is, if you think of it, we have healthcare costs that are just off the charts. Everybody knows that it's really hard to find a good healthcare plan. And for me, I'm here to help with healthcare prevention. So it's interesting that my family's in all professional healthcare professionals. I am doctors, nurses, anesthesiologists, but they seem to me pretty sick people. And that's because they're not taught nutrition. So I'm here to give you some guidelines with that. So when we talk about food quality decreasing, over 80% of what we eat today did not exist 100 years ago. You think about that. Think about when you were a kid, right? I'm 60, and I think about when I was a kid, who wasn't drinking from a water hose? Like, I never thought anything about picking up a water hose when I was running around as a kid outside, right? Picking it up and drinking out of it. Um, we didn't have microwaves when I was a kid. And the microwave generation really started the whole processed food industry, if you think about it, right? It was quick and simple for a busier lifestyle. I get that. If you look at the picture on my far right, it's the store shelves. Did you know that there are approximately in an average supermarket almost 80,000 items that you can choose from? That's crazy. Think about the processed food items. Now consider this, that the perimeter of the store used to be the way to shop, right? You would get your meat and your dairy and your fruits and your vegetables, right? All of your staple items that kept you healthy. But in today's world, if you notice, when you go to the end caps of the supermarkets today, they're filled with the most toxic foods that you could ever imagine, right? And so we have this growing population. We have more pesticides, preservatives, flavor enhancers, um, less nutrition. We have artificial colors. I do, and if you're interested, I do label reading classes to teach you what to read on your labels. But to me, a whole food is a whole food. An apple is an apple, right? They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? It does. It cleanses your liver, it cleanses your kidneys. I could go, it has 6,000 plus micronutrients that feed into your cellular level, right? So I say stay away from processed foods. Number one, that is huge. If you can do that, that will really change the way you start feeling. Okay. And then like broccoli, like loses 50 to 80% of its key nutrients before you even purchase it. Why is that? That's because a lot of your food, now I live in California. So 80% of our crops are grown here and distributed not only throughout the United States, right? But throughout the world. But we also have a lot of foods that are transferred here to where you live. And in that, they're transferred from 2 or 3,000 miles away. So they're picked before their peak ripeness. They have to be, or they would be rotten by the time they got to your store shelves. And so you think about that and start realizing that one of the things, and you can write this down, is your labels on your fruits and vegetables. If there's a number 4 on your label, maybe you know this already, then it is genetically modified and it's non-organic. Okay, so any label on your fruit or vegetable that starts with a number 4, if it starts with an 8, it's telling you that it is a non-organic, I mean, it's an organic food. Okay, and if it starts with a 9, then it's telling you that it's a non-GMO. Okay, what you want to do, honestly, organic is marketing. Most of your organic foods today are not organic. Okay, they may grow them organic, okay, but they're not, if they're being, if the shipping that they come in is non-organic. So keep in mind that you really have to be careful because you're paying more money for less nutrition, if that makes sense. Okay, so we have the food quality that's decreasing and we have environmental toxins that are increasing. So if you think about both of those contaminants in itself, we're in a world of hurt. And so I always say when you know better, you do better, right? So when we look at the increasing toxins that we live in day to day, and we might comment, Matt, wow, it's really smoggy out today, right? Or you see those hazes over our sky. Well, we're breathing that in. So it isn't just the toxins that we're breathing in, it's the water that we're drinking, it's the groundwater, right? We have all these contaminants. Some of the examples are the pesticides and look at the prescriptions. Have you ever went into a pharmacy? I know my mom is almost 93. Um, and she has glaucoma, so there's times when I have to pick up a prescription for her eye drops. And I go in and she's a Kaiser patient and people walk out with bags of prescriptions. It blows my mind, right? And they don't understand. They think that's a normal pace of life. They live off of that. And so when you're taking in prescription drugs, they're not bioavailable like fruits and vegetables, right? And whole foods, like they absorb, right? You get that at the cellular level. With a prescription, you pee it through. So it is poisoning your system, and if you're not detoxing by putting in the proper foods, right, to detox that, or moving enough to detox, or filtering through hydration, right? All of those factors help with the process of disease. So I'm here to say, I want to share some really good news with you, but at the same time, we have to know where we're beginning at in order to find that happy ending, right? And so it's really important, I can have my granddaughter, I'll share, she was telling, or excuse me, my grandson was just telling me, he says, Grandma, he goes, I don't ever drink out of the faucet because the water doesn't taste great. And I go, yeah, well, what do you drink from then? And I said, because I have, I detox my water, so to speak, right? I have a filtration system, right? Because it's really necessary. But he says, well, I just have bottled waters all the time. And I said, do you understand the plastics, and how, I mean, drinking bottled waters in the plastic alone are neurotoxins to the brain. So I look at disease. I work with people from asthma to oncology to Alzheimer's to diabetes. I look at the trends, and I left out one of my slides that are so important. You have children, a 30% increase of children with type 1 diabetes, and you have even a greater increase today with type 2 diabetes, which they used to refer that, to like fatty liver disease, but it's based of all the processed foods and the sugars that we put in our body. And so when you take in environmental toxins, when you take in the decrease in the nutrition in our foods, we are not living with a food deficiency, we're living with nutritional deficiencies. And that's what causes disease, right? So this is recommended right now by our CDC right now, that 90% of us, think about that, 90% of us fail to get our daily 10. And that's 5 servings, and that's your fist. So whatever your fist size is a serving. So it's 5 servings of fruits, 5 servings of vegetables. And you really need to have half your plate in fruits and vegetables at each sit down, right? Which common is 3 a day, right? So you think about that. If you're able to get half of that on your plate 3 times a day, you would hit that margin, or you would be really, really close. Does anyone know what the average is for someone? If you can put in the chat what your average, how many fruits and vegetables, there's no shame in the game. How many fruits and vegetables, post to the chat by number, do you get on average on a daily basis? I'd love to hear. I'd love to see what it says in the chat.
Mainly just eat broccoli from Costco. Kim, there is a question. Judy, you have a question about what is it? Go ahead and ask Judy Kim the question.
Yeah, I seen this, and you know what, Judy, why don't we wait until after the presentation? I would love
Right.
to spend time with you. Okay, I can help you with that.
many
This
years.
is information that I've recently
So
been.
Carol's saying 3 fruit and 5 veg. Is that on a daily basis, Carol? I'm curious because I want to see your average.
And overnight.
Because, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yes, Kim, that's on a daily basis. I put it on my to-do list. And it's fruit 1, fruit 2, fruit 3.
Yes.
Veggies 1, 2. I know I exceed the veggies for sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mostly plant-based.
Yes, so you're in the 10% range,
Yes.
I would
So I
suspect.
check it off every day.
That's good. I love that. So the average is 2. The average, like an overwhelming average, is 2, just so that you know. So now you can see why there's so much increase in disease today and not in prevention. So I'm your prevention coach is what I do. And so start thinking about how you can do that. How you can add in, like Carol said, we'll talk about that in our Q&A, right? How can we add 1 more fruit or 1 more vegetable a day and take something away that's not serving you, right, with your health? So we have a program, and I don't know why my computer is being, oh, there we go. So we have hope though. And so that's what I wanted to introduce to you, some nuggets of hope. We have what we call a January Jumpstart. Now, every month for the first 10 days of the month, I do this reset. And so I wanted to talk to you about that because human performance, if you think about it, is really, really important. And in every stage of our life, there's different times when we need performance, whether you are caring and eating for 2, right? Whether you're pregnant or a nursing mama, whether you have active children or grandchildren, maybe out on the soccer field, maybe, you know, it's just having our kids in the classroom. If you think about the rate of children that are on Ritalin, right, that have anxiety and ADHD today is just overwhelming. And the toxicity, you know, the toxicity of our foods, the food coloring itself. You think about a kid and how many, you know, food colors are exciting to them. You think about it, red and yellow and blue, you know, and they think it's great because the more colorful it is, the more they want to eat it. But most kids only get 1 to 2 servings of fruit and vegetable a day. That is the facts. And then as parents or grandparents, as we age, right, we have to add in more as well. And so I always say more is better when it comes to nutrition, and less is more when it comes to processed foods, right? So we have what we call, it's a shred 10. So I'm going to invite you into doing this. You can do the components of this that are important to you. You can do a little or you can do a lot. I have helped change so many families and actually communities in itself. We have actual communities in small areas and groups that do these together all over the world. It's a global reset that we do every month for the first 10 days. And so I'm not advocating, I have plant-based shakes and plant-based capsules, whole foods, that you can talk to me more about, but this isn't what this is about today. This is more about guidelines as to what you can add into your diet that will help you to gain leverage with that new year and new you. Okay, so more plant foods. So that could either be some of, like I said, the plant food capsules that we encourage people to use. That is the rainbow of color, or it could be just getting that extra serving of fruits and vegetables a day. Start building up your inventory of the 10 a day, if that makes sense. That is a powerful change in your trajectory of your lifestyle and longevity, right? Plenty of water. Like, did you know that 72% of us are chronically dehydrated? That's crazy if you think about it. If you are thirsty, you are dehydrated. Okay, so one of the ways that you can do that is take your body weight and cut it in half and use that to add into the ounces. Okay, so if you weigh 150 pounds, use 75 ounces of water a day. And I'm not talking like Gatorade, I'm talking pure water, hopefully filtered spring water, whatever that looks like. In your body a day so that you can detox yourself on it, adding some lemon in it, right? Having lemon water by your bedside at night is powerful, but being able to detox your system with water, it's part of the core 4 that I teach is hydration. And so for every 15 minutes of moderate exercise, you need an additional 8 ounces of water. Okay, so that is a tip that you can use. I always say if you can drink before you eat 8 ounces of water before breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it helps to fill you, not only to detox, but fill your body so that you're not binging or eating more of what may not be necessary to eat, right? Okay, so then this is very powerful in the world that we live in. It helps to detox the lungs, and then getting your rest is so, so important to get 7 to 8 hours of actual rest. And one of the things that I say as far as the 10 deep breaths is that you can breathe in for 4 and then hold it for 4. And maybe you have different ways of being able to do that, but if you breathe in, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Just go ahead and breathe in for 4 and hold it for 4 and then release it for 4. And if you can do that throughout the day, it takes some pause time to just recreate, so to speak. It is so powerful. It makes such a huge difference in our lives, in our lung capacity, and in our brain capacity. So let's go ahead and do that just one time. And so that you can kind of get, if you have not done this before, it's very powerful. So go ahead from your belly breath, breathe in. Then we're going to count 4. Hold. And then breathe out. Okay. So if you can, I don't know if you can feel the difference. For me, I could feel that. I could feel that release, right? So if you can do that throughout the day, it really builds lung capacity. It detoxes the lungs. It also helps you to be more creative, and it helps your brain. It's amazing. Okay. And then 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So getting into that, your circadian rhythm, making sure that you're getting in. We are a sleep deprived nation. Okay. And I always say one of the ways that you can detox is to put away all your social media, right? Everything that we keep up at night. If you want to read before you go to bed, and make sure that you're reading something that's going to be calming, something that is going to benefit you. I know for me, I like to journal, or I will like to, one of the things, I have a couple tips I can share with you at the end, but in your sleep time before you go to bed, just bridging the gap by looking at your wins for the day. Take like 3 wins that you received during the day, right? Just 3 wins. Maybe it's adding that extra fruit in your diet. Maybe that's a win for you. Maybe it was that you received a great phone call from a friend. Whatever that looks like, start your day with 3 wins and appreciation, and then end your day with that, because whatever you sleep on is either going to make your night blissful or it's going to be volatile, right? Everything that goes in comes out. And then exercise most days. 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week is what I recommend. Moderate. I think that walking is one of your very best. Walking and stretching are to me the very best things that you can do for your body. And it doesn't have to be all at once. I know that we all have that BUSY schedule. But if you can take 15 minutes here or 15 minutes there, it's incredible what your body can do and how it can repair itself, right? And then some of the things that you can do is reduce or eliminate caffeine and alcohol, right? And or eating after 6 p.m. So for me, I'm a big advocate for intermittent fasting. I believe that the more that you can give your body a rest from food, I believe that eating 3 meals a day is good. I eat usually from 10 in the morning until 6 at night. That's my 8-hour period where I eat, and I try to eat as clean as possible. And then I take that rest of the time to rest my body so that my body heals and autophagy begins. That's the healing process. So I can always talk with you more about that. And then, of course, processed foods. We talked about that. That's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself for the new year is to cut down on processed foods. Start looking at labels. And if you can't read it, then you need to decide whether it serves your body well or not. And then eliminate gluten and dairy. And this is just for a 10-day period. Most of our intolerances that inflame our gut, which causes disease, is gluten and dairy. Okay. And then artificial and refined sugars. So those are very easy to, for the most part, to be able to scope on a label, right? So when I talked about earlier about those ebbs and flows, right? Kind of like we talk about blood sugar levels, and we have an epidemic of people that are diabetic. We have an epidemic of people that have Alzheimer's as early as 30 years now and even younger. They're actually finding Alzheimer's in 20-year-olds, okay? That's crazy. You think about that. My mom is 92 and is just now in the last 6 months showing signs of aging. And now it's very common. And I live in California, and believe it or not, 5 out of 10 people will have degenerative brain issues in California, by the way. We have a higher ratio. Of course, California has a lot more population too, so keep that in mind. But even across the other states, they're saying 6 out of 10. See, that's not okay with me, right? So I always say, when you know better, you do better. So for me, I know I have learned a lot in 30 years. So I love to share and I love to teach. Because if I can teach one person, if it changes their family or it changes the community, and that is a boomerang effect, right? We teach one another. But when we go to normally eating, when we talk about that willpower, because did you know that 92% of us fail with the resolution of that new year, new you? It has to do with mindset, and it has to do with honoring yourself enough to say, no, I'm going to stop there, right? Whether that is your health or whether it's your, I call it our stinking thinking, right? Sometimes. So when you think about that and you look at the influence of glycemic index or your blood glucose levels, that all has to do with the type of foods that you put in your body. And if you want a list on that, I can put a list. Actually, I can send it and post it in the group if you would like that, of what glucose levels look like. So if you look at like some of your nuts and eggs and those things, you have a very low sugar level, right? So it has a direct influx on how you perform. If you eat a donut, on the other hand, your glycemic index is going to be really high. But there's foods like a banana, for instance, is like a 72. to 100, depending on the glycemic index, it's looking, your body's looking at how you can leverage your blood sugar levels. And that's where people get burned out and they become, for type 1 diabetics, most of them are born with it. Okay, but for type 2 diabetics, which is it increases heart disease, liver disease, cancer, the list goes on. And it is so prevalent in our world today. I would say that probably 75% of my clients have type 2 diabetes. Okay, and a lot of them, if you looked at them, you would not know that they were sick with it. So going back to, just because you look good on the outside doesn't mean that you're doing good on the inside, right? I actually work with clients that are thinner with more health issues than a lot of clients that have lesser health issues, but have more padding around their their bones, so to speak, right? So it is deceiving to see that. And a lot of times in our society, what happens is that people identify a waist size with a healthy look, right? And that's not necessarily true. When we think about the waist size, they call it a waist because food goes in, and that's where most of our waste, WASTE, sits, if you think about it, right? It kind of sits right in the middle, and it's either going to be effectively disposed of, detoxed, or it's going to sit there and it's going to create disease, right? So with the sugar spikes, we really have to be careful. A lot of times they have these different diets like keto and different diets like that. And that's maybe great for a period of time, but it's not sustainable. Most of your programs are not sustainable. So what you want to do is get back to the basics. You want to get enough rest. You want to be hydrated. You want to eat whole foods. Right? And you want to get exercise, you want to move the body. So, I mean, a new year and a new you comes back to one simple change, doing simple little changes that are going to build those habits. If you built one simple habit, one simple change a month, can you imagine what you would do in 1 year? Like this time next year, you'd have 12 huge habits that would just completely change your life, right? So here's our common results. So the shred is a simple, healthy reset, energy, and detox program. That's it. Okay. We do have some components to it if you have more interest in it. But if you just want to come into our community and check it out and do some of the guidelines that I was talking about, we'd love to have you in. We have recipes, cookbooks, we have fitness tips, we have inspiration tools. It is and you know what, our community is incredible. And I'd love to have you come join in and just say, hey, I want to drink more water this month. I just want to get more, hydration in. I'm drinking a lot of tea. It's like right now I'm drinking green tea, right? But I know that I have to hydrate even more because I like my green tea, right? So this is some of the things that starts happening when you have these 10-day simple changes that you add in. You're going to crave more fruits and vegetables. You'll have a healthier weight because you're going to start detoxing. When you eliminate the processed foods, it's a natural detox, right? Improved sleep, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy because you're putting the right things in. You're getting some movement in. You're getting hydrated. You're going to have, these are all things that are going to give you more regularity. If you get more fruits and vegetables in, and I can give you a guideline to look at, for every 100 calories that you ingest, if you have 3 grams of fiber to that 100 calories, okay, that is a good food to be eating, okay? that is a good food to be eating. Did you know that we're supposed to have 25 to 40 grams of fiber a day? I highly recommend a book called Fiber Fueled. Okay, incredible book. It is a game changer for your health. And I really advocate for that book. Very, very good. And then it also gives you increased mental clarity, because when we talk about when you're eliminating the waste at your waistline, it's going to increase the clarity in your brain. Okay. So that's all I have. I'm going to stop my share. That's what I have for today. But I wanted to talk about the mental aspect of that too. Because when I look at, I've been coaching clients for 10 years now in health and nutrition. And I started realizing that mindset is so powerful. If we don't have that muscle, we're not going to do the do. We're not going to improve the capacity or the clarity. Right. And so it's so important to start your day with gratitude. Affirmations are really, really powerful. And to be able to start writing a journal about looking at the habits that you have in your health, but also look at the health habits that are creating that kind of bridging that gap. I call it the gap in the gain. I don't know if you've read that book. It's incredible. And so what you want to look at, because what happens with the 92% failure rate for the health and mindset is the mindset starts first. You get geared up, you're doing really great for about 7 days, maybe 6 days, and then all of a sudden you realize that you're already done. Like, oh, I'll just have that one there. Gosh, I've been good for a week, right? Does that make sense? I'll do this over here. Yeah, I'll have that glass of wine or whatever that looks like, right? Maybe it's the thoughts that are diseasing our mind, right? So it goes hand in hand. The better you eat, the better you feel, the better thinking that you have. And then that converts itself into energy. So I would love to open up the topic of what is your simple change that you're getting started with for this new year, new you? Where does that fit into something that you can start as far as a new habit? Is that your thinking? Is that your food? Is that your health? What does that look like? I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear any nuggets of wisdom.
Go ahead, Dana. And then we'll go to Judy. Judy had her hand up before. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, ladies. Thank you, Rennie, for hosting, and thank you for the presentation. So much good information. I really love this topic. I'll be fast because I know a lot of people need to share. My resolution actually was to not text and drive. You know, like I've got a million things going on. I'm a single mom. I'm 44 years old. I'm buying my first home. I've got things to DocuSign. I've got, all this stuff. And I find myself like, looking down at my phone and having to respond to a text right away. And it's like, nothing can, there's nothing that can't wait 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I live in San Diego, So that's definitely something that I'm putting on my, resolution list. It's really the only one I have. Because, like I've always been into fitness and health and kind of the 90-10 rule. I can't be perfect all the time, but love cooking on cast iron, love going to farmers markets and getting organic, supporting local, supporting small. I own a small business. And, but 10% of the time, sometimes you're in a hurry and you got to stop at McDonald's and get some French fries, or whatever. But I try to make that, like my daughter is 4 and she eats pancakes, but she has no idea they're, vegan, very, very clean, organic pancake mix that I just add a little bit of cinnamon with. And, sometimes I'll give her a little maple syrup or something, but, like, organic fruits and vegetables, all that stuff. It's like, she's been eating that for years and I ate it when I was pregnant and she's like healthy and thriving. And we're both very, healthy, normal weight. And I've never fluctuated since I was 15, more than 5 or 8 pounds. Because my mom kind of instilled these very like holistic views into me. So anyways, I really like this information. I like the book. I also wanted to share, there's a couple documentaries. I put them in the chat. One is Live to 100, the Blue Zone group. It just follows around people that are that live to be 100, and it talks about the commonalities. I found that documentary really, really fascinating, and I've watched it like 3 times, and I've shared it with like everybody that I know. And then there's one called Poisoned, and I won't get into really all of that, but kind of talks about like E. coli and all that and government control, population control, and all kinds of stuff. So that we could snowball with. I won't go into detail, but anyways, yeah, I really enjoy those. I like the the suggestion to read before bed, because I definitely, turn on my social media after work, and sometimes that's the last thing I see. So I'll incorporate these changes. Thank you so much for letting me participate, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Dana.
Dana. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Dana, for your share. That was great
That's
information.
the social media thing, I'll tell you, I have been so, I think we all do that, and you get so caught up in it. I think you were talking about that, Judy, right? Was it last week you were talking about social media or something? Someone in the group was talking last weekend, and it's like, but yeah, Dana, I work with Blue Zone projects. I work with some here in California. They actually have Blue Zone project communities. That is so interesting. So it's super fun to hear I love hearing people that are taking charge of that, it makes a huge difference. Thank you.
That's great. Judy? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was introduced to Jason Prahl last year. He had a 5-day health and nutrition seminar where he had 7 different specialists and experts talk on their topic of expertise each day. And it was amazing. Just opened my eyes I have always been a health nut. I've watched so many family members die from cancer, and people suffering from Alzheimer's and diabetes. And to me, in the back of my mind is going, our natural body is not, I don't know if you believe in God, or I'm not going to get into all of that, but I'm thinking that if whatever created us is not going to create us to be self-destructive. Our bodies are not going to be set up to where we just self-destruct, like with Alzheimer's and diabetes and cancer. And I was like, there's got to be a source to where this is coming from. And the only thing I could think of, and I started thinking this probably when I was 10, I was thinking, there's got to be something that we're doing to ourselves that's giving us all of these ailments. And so the only thing I could come up with at the time was food. I'm like, it's got to be our food. It's just got to be. And so I've always just consistently been on that train of thought that we're doing it to ourselves, and the FDA is married to the Food and Drug Administration is married to the pharmaceutical, and
Yes.
one's the wife and one's the husband, and
Yes.
and we're all in the middle, and we're all the children in
We're the
between.
guinea pigs to their.
Yep.
It is, because the food companies, I was at a conference where there were big food companies there. And in 2 days, the whole topic was, how can we eat cleaner in the 20th century? And I'm not going to mention the company names because they're huge, but there were food companies. Do you know they shut the conference down? They didn't want to hear it. That's a true story, like 6
Wow.
years ago.
It's
And
not
it was
surprising.
it was alarming to me and so many other people. We were more on the holistic, end of it. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. That is where we have to treat our bodies as a temple, because we were given this body to help others, right? We were given this body for purpose, So thank you for sharing, because it's so good. I'm glad to
Thank
hear.
you.
I love company, this kind of company, because it just gets me excited, because that's hope. It's hope in the healing. It
Well,
really.
the thing that struck me as a brand new concept was the urotherapy. And so that's where Jason Prahl just introduced that whole element. And I'm like, I bet you there's a lot more people that find it, very, it's hard to bring that into common conversation, because it seems like it's such a bizarre thing to do. But I was curious if it's more prominently practiced than it's actually discussed. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
if-
I'm not, I mean, I've heard of it. I don't know all the concept behind it. I really just, there's so much out there and I think that's what people get confused on. There's so many diets, there's so many, you eat this way and not that way. And I'm like, no, no, no. You go back to the basics.
And that's
Hydrate,
where-
rest, move, right? And eat whole foods. And just eat quality whole foods. And I'm a 80-20 girl. 80% of the time, eat well. And do the rest of the things. The other 20% really is not gonna matter to you. It really won't. But in this day and age, with the way the world is going, we have to be even more careful. Right? I mean, we're one day older every day. That's not a
Yeah.
bad thing, by the way. I'm almost 61 and I have the energy of a 30-year-old. Seriously, I do. That I'm a nonstop girl, and that's not crazy nonstop. That's like good nonstop. Like I just love my life.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Kathleen, you're next.
Hi. That was great, Kim. And that has always been something that I have had to do because I have been dealing with chronic illness for much of my life. So if I don't eat well, I'm affected much more quickly and strongly than most people. Most people can eat junk food for most of their life before they sort of crash and burn. But for me, if I do it for even a week, then I crash and burn. So I've been aware of the things that you talked about. Do I do it always? No. So this is a great reminder to get back on track. And the beginning of the year is always a good time to get back on track. It's a clean slate, a new beginning. And so I thank you for doing this. I definitely needed the reminder after the holidays. I think we all tend to partake a little bit too much alcohol, sugary processed foods, and not getting the kind of foods that we need. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Kathleen, for your share. Carol.
Thank you, Kim. I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm also a health coach, so and I'm presenting in a couple of weeks. I wanted to make sure that there was not much overlap, and there won't be much overlap because you're a nutritionist and I'm a yoga instructor. But I just totally endorse everything you said. Awesome. And Dana, I also like, you're bringing up that movie, The Blue Zone. That's awesome. I am also going to be spreading that movie around and inviting people and, showing it in my home. So one of the things I wanted to share, ladies, is there's a wonderful, wonderful machine called Yonanas. And I use it almost every day. You can turn a frozen banana into a gorgeous, luscious, delicious dessert that has 0 sugar. I use it almost every day. Sometimes I do it with 1 tablespoon of cocoa, which is, cocoa has no sugar, and 2 frozen bananas. And it's just exactly like, it tastes exactly like, it has a better consistency even than frozen ice cream. So for 2 bananas, which you need all of that magnesium anyway, and whatever, and 10 calories of cocoa, it's a beautiful, delicious dessert. I've served a frozen fruit medley in my gourmet dinners that I belong to a gourmet group, and they love it. They love it. They absolutely love it. It's a gourmet
That's
dessert.
amazing.
Yes,
That's amazing, Carol. Can you write it down on your chat, on the chat,
I
too, so
will.
we know what that is?
I will.
Thank you.
Yeah, so ladies, I think it's 25th that I am speaking, and I'm looking forward to it. I have more tips too.
Sounds good. Thank you. Sue, you're next.
Oh, hey, thank you, Kim. It was just a really great reminder to kick off the year. I do eat healthy. I exercise way more than recommended. I love exercise. But my downfall is red wine. And so my New Year's, I love red wine. I mean, my dad's been making wine since I was in the 4th grade. He's an amazing winemaker. I'm surrounded by wine lovers. And so my resolution is to cut back on red wine. I'm not going to cut it out, but only on the weekends and only 2 glasses, maybe 3 if it's a party, for the entire weekend. And that's what kind of my resolution, because there's a lot of sugar in it. And I know there's carcinogens, even though I source organic and all the really good wines. I don't drink cheap wine. So yeah, that's my resolution. So it was a good reminder about the sugar, because there is a lot of sugar in red wine.
Yeah. Thank you, Sue. Omeka.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. It's always lovely to hear from you, Kim. And yeah, healthy and more healthy. Into 2024 and beyond. Me, less sugar and less stress. They
Good
kind of go hand in
advice.
hand for me. It's like,
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
let's buying it and let's saying, yes, you can bring a gift over here for mom that's full of sugar. Like,
Yeah.
just say no. Yeah. So,
Thank you,
yeah.
Omeka. It's 8:01, so if anyone need to leave, feel free to do so. But we'll stay a mindset. Who's that? Who's mindset?
Like I said, more exercise too.
Mindset, are you there? Maybe not. Okay, we're just gonna continue. Thank you so much, Kim. Such a great topic, great information. I know I have problem with eating processed food or eating more, especially during the holiday season, and I said, oh, I need to lose weight. I'm one of those 78% people. But yeah, what a great topic and great reminder to do
You
a
know,
reset.
I
Go
was
ahead.
I was gonna say, Rennie, too, as we're talking, all of us, I mean, Sue mentioned it, Omeka. I mean, we all know this, right? But did you know that sugar is more addicting than cocaine? Right? It
Oh,
is.
wow.
And even in the good foods, right? I mean, it really is, because I'm a sugar person. Like, I'm not a salt person, I'm a sugar person. I made homemade English toffee for the first time this year, and I tested a lot of it. And I could feel it, like, because I don't sleep as well. Like, I love my sleep. I don't sleep as well, and we all know this stuff, right? But we have to be reminded. We have to be reminded. And I can relate to you, Sue. I have cut down on my wine consumption a lot because I love red wine. And we have great wineries. I mean, California has great wineries. I mean, so it's easy, but at the same time, you know, um, Omeka said that sugar and stress, those 2 things, that's the leading causes of cancer, is stress and sugar. So your body is, it's alkaline or it's acidic, right? I have test strips that you can get on Amazon to test, and I grow aeroponics, so I teach people how to grow for their communities, grow food. And so I'm always testing the pH on the water to make sure that the food grows. And I'm like, I have to get back into testing the pH on my body or temple. You can get those, just saliva strips. And you want to be between 5 and 8, like, 6, just like in my water when I'm testing my plants, right? To grow good food, you want to have a pH balance of about 6.5. Okay, so something to think about. You can get them on Amazon, Because when you start testing yourself, what's really cool is you're like, oh, I could do better, right? So then you're like, oh man, if I ate some more kale or if I ate some more leafy greens, right? You're gonna change the trajectory of, see, cancer doesn't grow in alkaline bodies. Okay, so that, I mean, if you teach someone that, that's prevention. That's greater than any, and I'm an advocate for medical. I mean, you know, doctors have a purpose in here. Nurses have a great purpose. We all have purposes, but if you can prevent that, who wants to go through that? My niece died at 38 of ovarian cancer. I wish I knew what I knew back then, right? So we all know people in our lives that are going through that right now. So that is the biggest thing. I do want to invite you into our January Jumpstart. Okay, so it starts next Monday on the 8th. And I would be personally coaching you through that 10 days. So you can do a little or a lot. So if that's something that's exciting to you, you want to be part of a bigger community to do that with, let me know. Okay.
Go ahead and post your information, Kim,
I
the
will.
women's coffee chat.
Yeah,
So
I definitely will.
this has been such a great meeting, great conversation for the first year to get a reset, especially for me, a great reminder, less wine. So me too, I have the same problem.
It's so hard.
It is so hard when you like something, and that mindset thing is key. It's like it's your willpower. You're talking about your willpower. You have to just decide in your head, this is what I'm going to do, and just stick to it. But it's easier said than done. But what a great conversation. Thank you, all of you who are coming in here, contributing to the conversation in your participation. Next week, Sandra will talk about mindset, really about these I think she called it mirror, mirror on the wall, about how we are our own worst enemy. We talk ourselves out of a lot of stuff. This self-talk thing is like evil, the
Yes.
bad one. So that's kind of her topic next week. So look forward to seeing all of you back here again. And Judy, it's good seeing you. I'm glad you're here. And Mindset, whoever you are, and all of you here. I'm just so incredibly grateful. And Happy New Year, all. And what a great topic, great reset. The new year, the new you. With that, have a great day, a great weekend. See you next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you,
Bye,
Kim,
ladies.
again.
Bye.
Hi,
For a
everybody. Thank you,
great
Kim.
Thank you.
conversation. Thank
So
you,
welcome.
Kim.
It's great seeing all you beautiful women.
Yes, Happy New Year. All right, peace.
Happy New
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Rennie.
Welcome.
Bye.